Hello, everyone. This is Insider Korea, where I share stories and daily life from Korea. Right now, I'm sitting by the Han River recording this audio. You might hear the sound of the waves in the background. Today I'd like to introduce a fascinating lecture that helps us better understand Korea. Professor Peterson from Harvard once gave a talk titled 10 Things Americans Should Know About Korea. Based on that lecture, I'd like to share my own thoughts from a Korean's perspective, one by one. The first point is Korea is a beautiful country, and I truly agree, as Professor Peterson mentioned. Many foreigners are amazed by Korea's mountains, its countryside and traditional temples. Even Seoul, with over 10 million residents, is surrounded by mountain ranges like Gwaeksa, which is over 800 meters high. Citizens often take the subway right to the base of these mountains to enjoy hiking with these. At the heart of Seoul is the Han River, the same river I'm sitting next to right now. It's a wide river about 1.5 kilometers across. At the Han River, people enjoy biking, walking and camping. There's a fun local tradition of ordering fried chicken and beer right to your picnic spot using a delivery app. We call it chimak, short for chicken and mekwita beer. Another trend is cooking instant noodles at the river, known as Hanjin ramen. Today, as I sit here, I see many people doing just that. On summer nights, the riverside is packed with people. A friend of mine once said, "This feels like paradise, like a true utopia." And I couldn't agree more. The second point, Korea is an economically prosperous nation. Professor Peterson mentioned a post-war US government report that stated Korea had no hope or resources, too poor to be helped. But now Korea is a country the world pays attention to. I too grew up during a time of absolute poverty. Many of my siblings couldn't even attend school. By luck, I was able to go to university. Today, I live in a nation recognized by Harvard professors as one of prosperity. And sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come. The third point, Korea produces some of the world's best products: smartphones, TVs, cars and ships. Korean companies now lead the global market. As Professor Peterson said, Korea is the world's top shipbuilding nation. Back in the 60s and 70s, American products were number one. In the 80s and 90s, it was Japanese brands we admired. When I traveled abroad, hotel TVs were almost always Sony, but now, most hotel TVs LG or Samsung. And Samsung phones are global leaders by sales. Hyundai ranks third in global car manufacturing, and Korea's shipbuilding industry is praised as the best in the world. Even US President Trump acknowledged this when he sought cooperation from Korea's shipbuilders. The fourth point, Korea is no longer a shrimp among whales. There's an old Korean saying, "When whales fight, the shrimp's back is broken." Professor Peterson used this to explain how Korea, historically courted between stronger nations, often suffered. For centuries, Korea stood between China and Japan, repeatedly invaded and interfered with. In the early 1900s, after wars between China and Japan, and then between Russia and Japan, Korea was finally occupied by Japan for 35 years. Professor Peterson says Korea is no longer a shrimp. And I agree. Today, Korea stands tall on the global stage, raising its voice among nations. We have no interest in invading others, but we hope never again to be invaded ourselves. I believe Korea has grown into a strong and dignified nation. Not a shrimp, but a whale in its own right. Those who have experienced colonization may especially relate to this feeling. The fifth point, Korean is one of the world's major languages. Professor Peterson says there are about 76 million Korean speakers worldwide. That's even more than French, which is about 70 million. When I was in college, French was considered the second essential language after English. Now, it's amazing to hear that Korean has surpassed it in number of speakers. To those watching this video, are any of you learning Korea? Here at Insider Korea, we provide English narration and subtitles in more than 25 languages. If our videos help you in your journey to learn Korea, nothing would make us happier. The sixth point, South and North Korea are completely different countries. Professor Peterson says South Korea is a free, democratic capitalist country. North Korea is an isolated, failed communist state. He even mentioned that South Korea is sometimes rated as more democratic than the US, and I agree with him. When I used to travel abroad and told people I was from Korea, they would always ask South or North. Though South and North Korea are completely different in their systems, we were originally one notio. The Korean people share over 5,000 years of history, and for the past 1,500 years, we lived as a united country. Even though we are now divided, we still speak the same language, share the same ancestors, and hold the same deep-rooted history. Most people around the world think of South Korea when they hear Korea, but in our hearts many of us still dream that one day we might become one again. The seventh point is this: Hangul is the greatest writing system in the world. There are many reasons to say so. First, Hangul is the only writing system in the world that is celebrated with a national holiday. October 9th, Hangul Day, commemorates the day King Sejong introduced this script for the people, and it's still a public holiday in Korea today. Second, it's the only alphabet where we know exactly who made it, when and why. King Sejong created it because common people couldn't express themselves in writing. He wanted them to have an easy way to read and write. Third, Hangul is a writing system that visually represents how sounds are made. For example, the letter reflects the shape your tongue makes when it touches the roof of your mouth. Fourth, it's incredibly easy to learn. Some say it can be mastered in just one afternoon. I remember learning Hangul as a child, and it was truly simple and intuitive compared to other complex scripts. Hangul is a writing system made for the people. The eighth point, Korean literature is world-class. Professor Peterson expressed special love for a traditional Korean poetic form called saijo. One famous saijo is by Jang Monju. Here's a rough translation: even if I die and die again 100 times over, let my bones turn to dust, still my unwavering loyalty will not change. This poem symbolizes Korean values of loyalty and integrity historically. Korea was known as a nation of scholars, while Japan had its samurai warriors. Korea revered its scholars who carried the brush, the sword. In my own childhood, having a writer in the family was a source of great pride. More recently, the Korean author Hong Kong won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2024. She followed in the footsteps of her father, who was also a novelist. Her writing expresses both the sorrow and beauty of Korea's modern history. If you have a chance, I highly recommend reading her works. The ninth point, Korean culture is a powerful form of soft power. Professor Peterson said that K-pop, Korean dramas and fashion are even captivating people in North Korea. He emphasized that this cultural influence can be stronger than economic power alone, and I completely agree. Korea has moved beyond the memories of war and poverty to become a cultural powerhouse that touches hearts around the world, from BTS to Korean dramas, from our food to our emotional depth. Korean culture now needs no special introduction. It simply speaks for itself. Through our Insider Korea videos, I hope to add one more window for the world to better understand Korea. The 10th point, the division of Korea was an unjust result of history. Professor Peterson pointed out something important. After World War II, Germany, the aggressor, was divided into 4 zones, but Japan, also an aggressor, was left intact. Instead, Korea, victim, was the one divided. And that division has now lasted nearly 70 years. This is indeed hard to accept. At the time, Korea was a small, weak nation with little influence on the global stage. If Korea had been a powerful country, like the UK or France, it might never have been divided. Perhaps it would have been Japan that was split. This sense of injustice is not unique to Korea. Many newly independent nations after World War II probably share this feeling. Still, it's because of that history that I now believe Korea must become a stronger, more respected country. Our ancestors, our parents' generation, and now my own generation, have lived with that belief and done our best to pass on a proud note to our children by recording this message today. I hope to carry on that same spirit to future generations. That brings us to the end of this video. I've shared not only Professor Peterson's insights, but also my own thoughts through the eyes of a Korea and through the lens of my personal experience. I hope this video has helped you better understand Korea. If there's anything that resonated with you, or if you have any questions or thoughts to share, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your perspective and continue the conversation together.